What's up, everybody? This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, your host of MrGentleman Like That podcast, and this week's sponsorship is from Newsly. Newsly is a all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. It picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and read them to you in a natural human voice. For the first time in ever on the internet, the entire web becomes listenable, all in one place. Browse articles from topic you choose, start playing, start scrolling, and start listening. You can follow any topic as you specifically as you like, from sports, science to Bitcoin, even for the Kardashians. It will find you on the latest article and you read them to you out loud. And they have podcasts as well. Explore trending podcasts from over 50 countries. Our podcast, MrGentleman Like That podcast, is on there as well. Yes, it is. Shout out to Newsly for that. I started using it as my default podcast app. Download and use Newsly for free from www.newsly.me or from the link in the description. Use the promo code MrGentleman that I will also put in the description and receive 1 month free premium subscription. So you already know, y'all, download Newsly now. Check it out. Support them, y'all. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, your host of MrGentleman Like That podcast, and enjoy the show.
You are now listening to MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Chill! Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, 1/4 of the Premier Boy Podcast, and your host of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. And welcome to another new episode of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Hope all is well. And I just want to take the time to thank everybody that been tuning in to the first 5 episodes of season 6 of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. This season so far been a really good season, so I really owe it to all of y'all for listening, rating, supporting, sharing, and taking the time to listen to the first 5 episodes of season 6 of MrGentleman Like That podcast. 2 other episodes, episode 101 and 102, became number 1 charted episode. So all I can really say is thank y'all, and let's continue to grow MrGentleman Like That podcast and continue to join me on this journey. So before I talk about today's bonus episode, because today is a bonus episode, after this episode, MrGentleman Like That podcast will be taking a short break, and we will be returning on November 13th. I repeat, November 13th, all new episodes of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. And the spin-off series, The Old School Show, a conversation about music, and Date Night Talk podcast, all will be returning in the following weeks after that. So look out for new episodes of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. And don't forget, y'all, I'll be giving y'all 25 episodes this season, and I will be giving y'all 3 breaks. So after this episode will be the first break. The second break will be a mid-season break, so that will be the actual break once we get to between episode 10 to episode 15. And then the final break will be at the episode 20. So let's thank y'all and continue to tune in to MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. We still got a long way to go for this 25 episodes this season. Yeah, it'll be a fun journey. So this bonus episode, I will be bringing y'all my interview from Aaron King Talk Sand show, King Talk with Aaron Sand, Brotherhood crossover part 1. Basically, I will talk about the podcast community, MrGentleman Like the podcast, a lot of personal stuff, and the status of the Premier Boy podcast. You know, this is probably one of the most personal that I got. So yeah, it's basically this was like a conversation with my brother, So King Talk presents the Brotherhood crossover part 1. King Talk interview MrGentleman part 3. So y'all already know what to do. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview. I'll be back way later. Cheers!
Hi, this is Michelle Miller from Mentors on the Mic podcast, and you are listening to MrGentleman Lifestyle.
Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman of MrGentleman Like That podcast, and this commercial break is brought to you by MrGentleman Like That podcast, where we bring many guests telling about their stories about their brand they got going on. Also about me telling y'all my personal stories about things that are going on in my life. Also, we have many spin-off shows on MrGentleman Like That podcast called The Old School Show with myself and the star writing Rod, where we talk anything old school, which happen every 4th or 5th Sunday at 12 a.m. on the MrGentleman Like That podcast network. And another spin-off show called A Conversation About Music podcast, where we talk to many artists about their music journey. And also we have a roundtable music discussion about anything music, and which should come on every first Sunday at 12 a.m. on MrGentleman Like That podcast network. And yeah, you already know, if y'all need a podcast to listen to, check out MrGentleman Like That podcast. We're on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Good Pod, and many more. Y'all can rate the show 5-star rating on Good Pod, Podchaser, and Apple Podcasts. The more y'all rate, the more love the show get. Y'all can also check it out on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube now. Ken, aka MrGentleman Like That TV, and also support the website of MrGentleman Like That podcast, MrGentleman Like That podcast.com. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, and have a good day, night, wherever you're listening to this episode. Back to the show. Cheers!
This is Aaron Sands, and you are now listening to the MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. King Talk. Yeah, that's me. You already know what it is. It's your man's Aaron Sands, and we are back at it yet again with another episode. You already know the vibes. If it's Fridays, then it's King Talk. This ain't pre-recorded. We ain't doing it like last episode. We're doing like John O'Reilly. Fuck it, we're going live. We're doing it live. I want to thank everybody for tuning in on another episode of King Talk with Aaron Sands, Season 3. We're back at it again. Quick side note, quick announcements before we get into the proceedings this evening. One of the biggest things that I'm working on right now is the ongoing growth of this podcast. So I say that to say this. We recently hit a speed bump. Aiming for number 1, but right now, as of this recording, we are at number 3. And which is still humbling, you know what I'm saying? It's a humbling experience. We were hoping to get number 1 and everything, but we're at number 3. Maybe the algorithm is kind of hating on us, but then again, maybe not. But if you gotta do me a quick favor, like the episode, share the episode, continue to spread the word, because we're definitely trying to get to that number 1 spot. And as I said before, as promised, when we get to number 1, it's not even an if, it's a matter of when. When we get to number 1, definitely doing a number 1 episode where we celebrate, man. We turning up, we talking about how I got to number 1, how we're gonna maintain it, and how we're gonna get the rest of the group back up to number 1 with the Premier Boys. But before we get into all of that, I want to get into today's topic. So, as I said in the last episode, we got a guest coming into the show. This man said that he was going to take a break from the Premier Boys podcast in the last episode of season 2. Since then, there's been pushbacks and setbacks and roadblocks in his own podcast, but now he's coming back strong with a new season of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. He's trying to help little by little getting the Premier Boys back together for that all too magical season 3. There's a lot going on in this guy's life right now that, shockingly enough, he's willing to discuss it with us right here on King Talk. Without further ado, you already know who this man is. Ken and Gentleman, you up right now. Let's go get it.
Good. You already know, bro. Yo, Ken, I came Mr. Gentleman. I'm back from behind the scenes and back on the screen. And so I'm back to be back on screen on King Talk. I haven't been on your episode since last year, November, as a on screen. When we did that positivity episode. You know?
Oh yeah, good times, good stuff. You know what I'm saying? That was season 2. Had a little bit of an incident, but shout out to those boys. But looking back at it, this is a lesson learned on all ends. So I always say, if it's a W, it's a W, and if it's an L, it's a lesson, not a loss. So
definitely, son. That was an instant time.
Very, very. But
always been here. I've been, behind the scenes of King Talk, executive producer. But I'm back to be back on the screen again to, for you to interview me, son. 'Cause I actually wanted to interview. So yeah, happy to be back, son.
And honestly, this was your first interview since leaving. Leaving the Premier Boys for a break. You kind of pulled a Roddy on us this season.
Yeah, I mean, I did a couple other interviews. I was on Shower Karaoke with Angelica and Cuba Creepin. I was on another show called Bad and Fabulous, but I absolutely haven't been in yet. So I've been kind of moving around, but yeah, like as an actual interview, this is my first actual interview in a while. So yeah.
Yes. And as you already know, you've been on here before. These questions come at you random and out of nowhere. So you never know what you're gonna get out of this. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it. Real quick, can you give an update? Can you give our King Talk audience update on you? Not the pod, not the other ventures, just Ken. How is Ken?
I could be a lot more better. I was dealing with a lot this year. I had COVID, dealing with after COVID, then dealing with some personal stuff, then with some friendship drama, apparently, or whatever that is. But other than that, every day I try to be better than I was yesterday, and every day is a progress. Dealing with depression a lot, not good, not easy, but every day I'm trying trying to keep myself busy, trying to get myself back to where I used to be, son. So that's where I'm at. Every day is a work in progress, basically. It's not easy, but you gotta get through it and not give up. So that's where I'm at, son.
That's good to hear. Noticing that you have you had your high points and your low points. What was the hardest point for you during this stressful time between Premier Boy situation and now that you had to overcome?
Just getting my mental health back on track, because the thing was, when you dealing with something and then another thing hit you back to back, another thing hit you back to back to the point that you just don't know what to do next. That where I'm at. Without really saying about what exactly going on with that situation, but it was just a lot. It was just a lot happening all at once, and it just really caused me to just really need to take a break from Premier Boys, then decide to take a break from MrGentleman, and just figure my next move on everything, because honestly, I was lost. So when I finally decided to get back to it, I was like, yo, it's just time to not be sad, not be so sorry for yourself, and just get back to it, son. That's just get back to it,
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from when it comes down to, having things hit you like back to back, and you don't really know, how to maneuver in those type of spaces.
Yeah. And it just become overwhelming, son. So it was hard, son. But I learned one thing for sure: I do not want to get back to that person no more, because I didn't know who that person was. That one person wasn't me. So that's why I do continue to do the podcast. I continue to do the quotes of the day, because you never know what anybody is going through. Even through no hard time, I was doing the quotes of the day. So because I wanted to help others, and while me helping others, I was helping myself get back to where I was too. So yeah.
And I've seen that with when it came down to like your quotes of the day and the advice that you give on Instagram. Speaking of Instagram, I know you've been doing a lot of big things with Instagram with your quotes. You want to get into that real quick?
All I said, shout to Instagram, man. Put me in the I guess the Reels program. I guess if you're a content creator, you know what that is. It's where that they pay creators to create Reels, and I was a part of that program. So, and it was an honor to be chosen to be a part of that program. So, thank you, Instagram. Shout out to y'all, for that. It's a dope opportunity, and I'm always happy for an opportunity to come my way, and always open for more opportunities. So, thank you for Instagram, for that,
Yeah, shout out to Instagram for that too. I like the fact that you have like social media being the new outlet for people to really get their stuff out there, no matter what it is. I seen a guy on Instagram the other day promoting hugs.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, people actually care. Why you on social media so much? Because you just never know what doors that it can help you open. And it helped many content creators, help many entrepreneurs, help many podcasters. And it's a great way to network with other people. And honestly, it's been, especially during the pandemic, it's been a big way for opportunity for others, And yeah, I think like everybody should use it for the right reason, as long as you're not using it for the wrong reason. I feel like social media is great. Just have to use it for the right reason,
Speaking of right and wrong reasons, since I got to hear that, what do you feel?
Oh my God, Sid.
I gotta go there. Like, you knew it was coming. You was gonna get all easy questions the first half of the episode. Like, what do you feel, right? How do you what are ways one can use social media the wrong way? Because we see a lot of right ways people do it, and you see a lot of people making money off of it. But what are the wrong ways of somebody going about social media?
You ain't know the wrong way. It's like the obvious way where people get scammed online. People throw shots. People start beef online, and to the point where people get killed on social media for starting beef because people ship out the location. People share location and get killed and stuff like that. So it's like, for those avenues, those are not the right way to use social media. I feel like if we use social media, it should be for good networking, good for family and friends, and good to opportunity and for business. It shouldn't be we shouldn't use it for violence or for beef or not like that. Or bullying or social media bullying or stuff. Yeah. That's
I get it, because it's like you see a lot of that, especially in certain cases where it's certain niches, and in certain cases where people will end up bullying on social media, and it's tough because it's not like back in the days where you get bullied and you go home and that's the end of it until you go back to school the next day.
Son, I can give you a perfect example. Son, the wrestling community, man. Jesus.
Oh my God!
The wrestling community is oh my God! So from the WWE and from the AEW, G. Louis, all I have to say, be like Impact, son, because they don't bother nobody, son. Be like Impact, son.
And to be truthful though, Impact don't bother nobody because they're trying to just focus on getting over 200,000 views.
But that's a fact, yo.
You know what I'm saying? Like you trying to get over you trying to get over that 0.2 rating. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, because ain't no way.
Like, you already know I love Impact, so no, shout out to Impact. I love Impact, but yeah, you know, I say that obviously beef is the worst. Or if you want to go back old school, Nintendo and PlayStation, or PlayStation and Xbox. And I know it's more crazy online beef, Marvel and DC. Like, it's a lot, son. It's a lot.
I always feel like, right, when you have those type of divisions, and I spoke about this on a past episode. You know, when you have these divisions, you know what I'm saying, it's easy to divide people, but it's even easier to divide people when you have a platform, have a social media platform that's pretty large. Like like you mentioned before, the IWC community, especially with WWE and AEW, you know, a lot of people go. It is a really contentious space when you talk about that, and a lot of people don't even realize or take the time to realize that behind the scenes, a lot of these guys are friends. They go to weddings together. They go to trips together. They do a lot of these things together. So it's like, if there's no contention in the actual community where people are actually working and putting their bodies on the line on a weekly basis, why is there so much contention behind the keyboard amongst millions of people?
Yeah, that's a fact, son. That's a fact, yo. Also, the most recent one, Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. Because their fan base is crazy too.
And honestly, that don't make sense because they both do the same shit. Keep in mind, I'm a fan of Cardi. You already know this.
You already know I'm a fan of Nicki, so we don't have to go there.
Exactly. Here's the thing. They both do, for the most part, the same shit.
Just about, son.
They both do the same shit. And honestly, there's really no telling. Take it even a step further, when you're talking about the female rap game as a whole, unless your name's like Rhapsody or Lauryn Hill or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or any of those ladies, you're pretty much getting the same carbon copy shit. Oh, this pussy fat. Oh, this pussy wet. Yeah. Oh, you gotta pay for the pussy. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this ass fat. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the same shit.
Yeah.
And I had to rant, but it really is. And honestly,
I get it. Son. I get it. Like this. I get it, son.
And people but my biggest issue is that people get so contentious about that, even though, you know, with Nicki and Cardi, it's the same thing. WWE and AEW is the same thing, except for WWE's production quality is like bar none. You know what I'm saying? But if you boil it both down, it's really just the same shit.
Basically, like.
I want to get into another topic real quick before we get into the first break of our of this episode.
Yeah.
We're talking about communities, right? And one community that we didn't really touch on like that. Talking about the wrestling community, we're talking about the female rap genre community. I want to get into the podcast community real quick. Do you feel like there's that same contention in those spaces, in the podcast space right now?
I'm gonna be 100. I think it is, but I feel like it's low key though. I feel like it's low key. I feel like it's the same way because you got some people who support other podcasts, and you got some people who don't support other podcasts. And the thing about it, podcast is a big community, so. But it could be some podcasters that you think could be good with you, but they don't really like you on the low. There's many podcasts on there, you know, and like that. So yeah, I think it is. I think it is the same. I think it is. It's pretty much the same way.
I could understand that. I mean, you look at it, like, I feel like the podcast community could be just as contentious as honestly any other community, you know, with that allows opposing views. You know. At the end of the day, people don't like getting their views challenged. So what happens is we tend to either go back and forth, or even worse, we get into like sign language, shaming, insults, guilt, and need to be right. You know, and nobody wants to be wrong. But what I find, especially in the podcast community, people are wrong and strong, and because they have a mic, they could get behind the mic and then be wrong and strong on the mic. And I listen to other podcasters, and when I hear that type of rhetoric, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm out. You know what I'm saying?
Basically, because honestly, you don't want to listen to a podcast and it's negative all the time. That's not my thing. That's not my style, man. I'm gonna say this: if you give me some negative type of vibe, I'm not gonna listen to your show. I'm not gonna support it. You know, that's all I can say about that. You know.
And I'll be honest with you: if you give a negative vibes on a per episode basis, honestly, I think podcasting should be the least of your worries. I feel like you gotta seek therapy.
Yeah,
you know pretty much. And I tell people all the time, ain't nothing wrong with going to therapy and getting your head right, getting your head back in the game if it helps. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because it's a big deal. You know, people go through a lot of shit. And if therapy didn't help, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people would either not be here right now or put other people through harm. You know what I'm saying? And that's never helped.
Yeah, but I just want to say this about the podcast community. There is a lot of amazing podcasters out there. I listen to a lot of them, and a lot of them are killing it, and a lot of them support MrGentleman like the podcast, so I appreciate y'all for that. And some that they see me doing my thing, but they don't support me because I'm a black podcast that's doing big things right now, you know, and it's cool, you know. It could be people like that. When they see you winning or you getting up to that level of winning or progressing, they don't want to support you, and I'm cool with that too. Y'all go eventually check me out later down the line. You know, just how it always been, you know. So, but like honestly, shout out to the podcast community. Everybody doing amazing things. Keep killing it. Don't give up, y'all, because this is not an easy job for all of us. Even King Talk, yo. Shout out to you, bro. You growing up. You growing to us. Shout out to you, bro.
Yo, I appreciate that, because, bruh, if you told me on season 1 that this was going to be difficult, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But listen, like getting into this, like not only just getting into it, like getting on a mic and like, you know, speaking, I feel like that's the easiest part. The hardest part is actually the prep, like getting ready to do
that. Yeah, and it's true. There's a lot of hard parts, like the prepping. Sometimes when you get guests to your show, guests is hard. Promoting your show in general and getting people to listen to your show. That's one of the hard parts. One thing I feel like you're automatically gonna know, your family and your friends not gonna support you. That's the worst part, son, because you expect them to support you, and sometimes they ain't gonna support you, you know. So you have to start getting brand new listeners that who most likely you won't know to support your show, and that's not always easy, you know.
Yeah, I feel like that's more harder than anything else. You know what I'm saying? Because you can have great content, you can have, you know, the best equipment to set yourself up for success. But how does that matter if nobody hears you? You know what I'm saying? Like I had the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows on this particular podcast. You know what I'm saying? There's episodes that did well into the thousands, and there's episodes that only got 6 views. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And one of my biggest things personally is that I keep all of it up. Everything is still up. Because I want people to know that even though, you know, you can get to the highest of the highs, sometimes you go through those lows and setback. And I want people to learn from those and then build from that. And that's honestly where I'm at right now when it comes down to King Talk, honestly. So it's a good thing that you mentioned that.
Yeah, because you ain't know, you got to get to the bottom before you get to the top, because that's how you grow. And I always remind myself that from whether starting from this show, from the nightlife promote, which us and doing news or anything that I do, you know, you have to start somewhere in order to get to a certain level you need to go. And honestly, you just got to keep going. You know, it's not an easy job. You just have to keep going. Just continue to do this. Don't give up. That's the most important thing about podcasting is everybody give up at 7 episodes, but if you pass that, keep going. We all gonna have some good days. We all gonna have bad days, but at the end of the day, we should not give up at all. No.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the biggest things that, like, especially when I was like between the seasons between 2 and 3. That's where it kind of was for me. Like I was trying to like figure out where I wanted to take this, how serious that I wanted to go, and I'm glad that I actually started season 3 in the way that I want to build it. And honestly, you guys, you're gonna actually be a part of this as well. You're gonna be part of this journey as well. The way that we're going to build out season 3 is going to be nothing short of amazing. However, staying on the podcast topics, when we come back, part 2 of the interview with me, Ken the Gentleman right here. This is our podcast. We're going to talk about, number one, speaking conveniently, being number 1 on Good Pods and why is that so important, and the future of the Premier Boys podcast. We got all of that and more when we come back right after this ad. Don't move here. It's your man's King Talk Sands, and we'll be back at it on the other side.
This is Aaron Sands, and you are now listening to the Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast.
You already know what it is. We back at it again with King Talk. It's your man's Aaron Sands, and right now I got Ken, the Gentleman, right across from me, and we're talking a whole lot of shit.
So let's get it. So King Talk with the crazy questions. You
already know.
I thought I had questions, but King Talk, Louise.
Listen, the people want to know. People want to know, so I gotta ask. You know what I'm saying? People didn't want to know. I would have never asked. One of the things we talked about, what we were going to get into before we went on the first break, was that you getting into the number 1 spot on Good Pods, not just on entertainment news, but also other topics such as I believe society and culture. I think you just recently hit number 1 on the top 100 shows in Good Pods.
Yeah.
Shout out to Good Pods, by the way.
Yeah. Top 100 shows, top society and culture, and top 100 episodes.
Yeah, like you like all of the niches that you were placed in, you was at number 1 at.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you seen that you was at number 1 at all of these places?
I'm not gonna hold you, son. I was really, really shocked, son, because there's a lot of amazing podcasters on the society and culture list and the top 100 shows, and the top 100 shows. It's basically every podcaster top 100. They're basically like a Billboard top 100 chart, basically like the best 100 podcasts on the charts, And of course, every time I used to make it on top 10 or even the top 5, I always fall off. A podcaster always knocked me down. So when I saw that day that I was number 1, I honestly was shocked. So I'll keep refreshing. Like, nah, that can't be real. Like, nah, that can't be real, son. I keep refreshing this, thinking it's not real, thinking that I'm gonna be like a number 2 or something. It was real, son. So I was like, wow. I was really shocked, and then seeing that top 100 episodes as well, and then top society and culture. I was really blown away, and I was grateful to be in that spot because. And I mean, society and culture. I've been number 1 in society and culture before, but top 100 shows, like, I was really shocked, man. And you just don't understand, man. To be, I guess, the best podcast for 3 days for top 100 show is just an amazing feeling, and I want to thank everybody who tuned in for that. I was really, really shocked, but I did not see that coming at all. And the reason why it's so important to be number 1, honestly, for me, is it was something I was aiming for a long time. Because we've been number 1 for Premier Boy before, for entertainment news and stuff like that. But I had never really was number 1 for myself until earlier this year with Society and Culture, which was the first time I was number 1 earlier this year with Society and Culture. So for top 100 show, it was important. And not only that, but also being a black podcaster on the top 100 chart on Good Pods. Because honestly, it was only one other show, from what I know, since I've been on Good Pod, it was only one other show that was number 1, and that was the Red Dub podcast. Shout out to those ladies, those women, killing it right now. So the Red Dub podcast, but yeah. So it was a shock to see another black podcast at number 1. It just really shocked, son.
Yeah, like I definitely understand the shock when you told me, being the fact that, spoiler alert, being the fact that you're the executive producer of this particular podcast. Yeah. When you told me that I was number 2 on the charts, I was astounded because
honestly, entertainment news,
Yeah, that's never a height that I really reached with King Talk, especially considering I didn't put out an episode at that time. That was like a really big thing. So I could definitely understand the shock of being in that situation. And honestly, you know, when you see yourself getting up to those type of heights, you know, you want to be able to that pretty much inspires you to actually do more, you know?
Yeah, it does, man.
As I said before, I was on the fence, but when I saw that, I was like, okay, people are still looking towards, you know, wanting to listen and seeing what I'm talking about. So I feel like that was a pretty big deal. So I could definitely understand you being shocked about that. One thing you mentioned a lot in the first part and in the second part too is Black podcasters. Real quick, can you share some of the podcasters that you, some of the Black podcasters, I should say, that you been listening to and following?
Jeez Louise, man. It's a lot of them, but you know, if I have to name a few, the Red Dub podcast, Cat Diva podcast, Lavender Listen podcast, High Tea podcast. Jeez, a lot. You know, Java Tears, of course, Java Tears.
Java Tears, they've been doing their fucking thing, man.
The Sigma podcast. It's a lot of amazing Black podcasters out there, man. You just don't understand. And I just felt like a lot of us deserve a chance, you know. A lot of us deserve a chance, and honestly, I want to help other Black podcasts with that opportunity as well, you know. Hopefully that me being number one on Good Pod open more doors for other Black podcasters to, you know, get more listeners and go harder so they can get that top spot too. I feel like everybody deserve a chance, you know. And it just means a lot to me, you know, being up there, you know, and stuff like that. And hopefully other Black podcasts can get there as well, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, we gotta support each other, you know.
Honestly, we do. One of my biggest things is like wanting to network with certain podcasts, especially this season. So I said the season is going to be bigger than any other season. I want to network with other podcasters to actually not only help build, you know, my situation, but to be able to have that rapport with other podcasters, you know, to actually build that, you know. I feel like that's a really big thing for me.
But first, you know, shout out to Good Pods because we actually having some conversation with each other. So I'm gonna talk to you about that off screen though. But
that's personal business.
I can't enough that right now. But shout out to Good Pods though. Shout out to Good Pods.
Speaking of podcasts, right? Let's get into yours real quick, MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. You're doing a whole new season right now, but you had some sort of hiccups and some delays and things like that. You want to care to explain that to the viewers?
You know, for season 5, we had a whole good 23 episode plan for season 5. But you know, just like everything else, life, like basically the life, my actual personal life got in the way, and it was hard to really continue the show. Because, you know, finance reasons is one reason, my mental health is another reason, and I just wasn't happy, you know, and so I just had to cut production down, and it's just like, it was a lot, you know, I would have to figure out a way to get back in it, and even when I did figure out another way, even though not the best way, I just wasn't happy with doing this. I feel like me taking a break was the best thing to do, because honestly, as a podcast, I never really took a break. You know, I'm always working, and that's how I operate. I always continue to work, no matter what I'm doing. I just want to keep working, keep myself busy. So that setback, you know, I had to take the setback and reset over everything, and had to change my whole plan. So now with season 6, I gave you 25 episodes because it's the 3 that I had to take it off. Sadly, SummerSlam episode was one of the episodes that we had to take off. So which is why this Brotherhood crossover like a makeup for SummerSlam episode. Because, you know, Sans was supposed to be on the episode. Also, my sister episode originally, the 100 episode celebration, was really supposed to be last season, but I moved it to the season premiere for this season. And there was another episode that got cut out, but I forgot what it was. It was another episode. Oh, actually, it was another episode with you. We will do 2 episodes together. I forgot. We were supposed to do 2 episodes together, but both of the episodes got cut because of the personal reason. So But I'm so glad to be back doing it again, and make sure I'll give y'all the best season, I could give y'all the jam-pack Mr. Gentleman Like the Pocket Season 6 season.
I'm not gonna lie, like I'm big on breaks, right?
Yeah.
Mental breaks, physical breaks, things like that. You can't be the best version of yourself if you're pushing yourself too hard to be that,
Yeah, I know. So I know, and that's the thing that I honestly had to learn. I had to learn to take breaks. Because I always want to be the guy who like to keep going, even though the hard time won't show my emotion. On the outside, maybe happy, but really I'm not happy. So it just felt like I had to replan my next move. And honestly, that break was probably one of the best things I did. They gave me more time to listen to more podcast shows and not focus on my show. And so it was good to take the break and restart my mind.
And that's always good. I always feel like people reach burnout quicker.
Yeah.
When you overwork yourself.
Yeah, and that's what I had. I did have burnout. That was one of the reasons why I took that break from Premiere Boy, because I did have burnout too. Doing 2 shows, I was burned out for real. It was like frustrated. So, and I know we're gonna get more about that anyway, but yeah,
we definitely gonna get into that, because that's what I got. That's what I got on the docket next.
Yeah.
The fact that you gave a strong, I noticed you gave a real strong explanation for Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast, right?
Yeah.
Can we keep that same energy, just the way you had it, for the Premiere Boys podcast?
In terms of like why I left? In terms of why I left?
Just in terms of like, you know what? Fuck it, we're gonna get into it. Before we get into it, real quick, just like the podcast, real quick. We're doing God's work right now. We're getting all the answers. You know what I'm saying? Like the podcast, make sure you share it with your friends, whoever likes this type of content. Make sure you get this word out.
Let's get it, son.
Let's do it. Into season 2, long, tumultuous. Sometimes all of the members are there. Other times, only me and you are there.
Yeah.
We got beef. We had outside beef, internal beefs.
Jeez.
Somebody in the group said in a group chat, "Oh, I'm gonna come over there and smack the shit out you." That was a whole situation. I had to be a peacekeeper, which is not my lane. Premiere Boys podcast was pretty contentious the last season, to the point where you was like, "Yo, I'm gonna fall back. I'm gonna take a break." What was your reasoning behind the break, and where are you now mentally when it comes down to the Premiere Boys podcast?
All right, well, the break situation was supposed to happen since end of season 1, but then Roddy took a break. So I had to wait until Roddy come back to get my break. So the break part was always with the plan, but the reason for the break wasn't the plan. And honestly, season 2, I'm not gonna hold you, was a really hard year for all of us. All of us going through personal issues. All of us had a plan, but at the same time, all of us had different plans. It was way too much creative clash with us as a whole. And even all of us had egos, and I can admit I had an ego too. I know for me that my reason for leaving, it wasn't too much. Especially the last episode, me and another member had an argument, and it wasn't the best. I take full blame on it, because I felt like I overreacted. I should have overreacted the way I did. And of course I apologize to that member. Shout out to the bro. But that during that moment, that made me realize, like, yo, Ken, this is not you. You need to take a break. Because 1, you burned out. 2, you stressed out. You're stressed out about not only Premiere Boys, but you're stressed out about personal life as well. You need to take a break from the show as well. Just focus on Mr. Gentleman for now until you finish that season. So I was like, you know what? So maybe the best thing to do is take a break from us. Since I haven't took a break from Premiere Boys, maybe just take a step back and to chill. And whenever
the team come back. Let's them handle it for a little bit, then I come back. But then the show that haven't came back. So the show haven't came back. And I know on multiple reasons. I know there's multiple reasons why the show didn't come back. But yeah, the show haven't come back, and it's just like many things change, you know. And yeah, it's just the show haven't come back yet, and honestly, everybody asked me when Premier Boy coming back, and I said on one of the episodes, honestly, I don't know. I can't even answer that if I wanted to. I don't know when Premier Boy coming back. And now other drama is causing Premier Boy to come back, but it's like, you know, for me, I feel like we all need, as a team, we all need to get together. You know, we need to know what is our actual move is for the show, and once we know for a fact what we doing, what our next move is, then I would think about coming back when things is resolved. Also, it's just like you know, right now I'm at a shockingly really good play with MrGentleman right now, man. This has probably been MrGentleman's best year, shockingly enough. And I can hold you, I want that same success for Billboard, but I feel like us as a team gotta make that happen. And I feel like we all been not on the same page. I think that's one of the reasons why my mindset not leading to coming back to Billboard at the moment, you know.
You mentioned in your diatribe that you said there was a lot of backstage drama. Now, this is King Talk. Last I checked,
yeah.
This is a safe space.
Yeah.
All right. Do you care to dive into those details regarding the backstage issues?
It would just, you know, frustrate with the team. You know, some members wasn't come in, like you mentioned earlier. Some members wasn't come in. Some reason, I get some of the reason why they wasn't coming, but other reason it wasn't that much because it happened too many times. It just got frustrated. I know for me, with everything going on for me, but I felt like it was just frustrated. It just got frustrated for me. You know, it just got frustrated to me, and it felt like either one man or two men were carrying the show, and everybody else was just not doing much. You know, that's how I felt. When it should be all four of us trying to do it together. You know, stuff like that. You know.
So basically, you were looking for the teamwork, like the full teamwork for the group.
Exactly.
But you felt like you wasn't getting any of it.
Exactly. And every time we try to record, it's always either 2 or 3 guys. And I get it, it's cool we have record no matter what, but honestly, I feel like it always should be us 4 doing the show, you know? Unless it's a serious reason, then cool, but it should be 3 guys for like almost 10 episodes. I'm sorry. That's just not it, you know? So, it's just frustrated to me, yo. It just frustrated, you know? And I feel like I had to leave, man. And I didn't want to leave. It was a really hard decision to leave, but it just got too much. It just got too much, you know. You know, you play in meetings and it sometimes don't happen, and it just I just felt like none of us would not. I felt like our mindset was not the same, you know. I felt like some people was higher and some people was lower, and I wanted everybody to be on the same page, but we just never got there. Even though we had fun doing our show, but it just felt like as a team we wasn't there as a team, you know. It's just that was what really bothered me, honestly.
I always say, right, in relationships, it's hard to get 2 people on the same page.
No, it is.
It
is. Trust me, it is.
And I'm just talking about relationships, but it's just 2 people. You know what I'm saying? It's twice as hard when you're talking about getting 4 people.
Sure. Yeah.
Together at once, you know, because when you're talking about it, you're talking about like when we talk about Europe with Gentleman Lifestyle, and even with King Talk to a smaller extent, like life happens.
No, it does, and in that aspect, I understand in that aspect. But you know, I just talk about in general though, like you know, it was just frustrating for me. It was just frustrated, you know. I was just frustrated with the whole Forbidden Boy for a while, you know, and. Yeah, that's just where I'm at, yo. I was just frustrated with the whole creative content and all of it. Trying, you know.
It also honestly felt like after that beef we had with old boy, we had to mention his name.
Mm-hmm.
The show haven't really been the same. I feel like we fully didn't pick up from that either. And I feel like with season 3, when all of us together, and after she come back, we gotta change that and go forward. Go forward.
Yeah, I'm big on moving forward. When it comes down to certain topics, not just certain topics, but certain issues. Honestly,
yeah.
I feel like the one big thing about Premiere Boys is that everybody that's on the show has been cool with each other for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
And we go through certain things, we go through certain trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're big enough to be like, okay, I fucked up, or okay, I was wrong. Let's move forward for the sake of the show because there's a goal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At our best, we were number one.
Yeah.
You know?
You was, yeah.
And we was number one. We were just number one for an hour or a day or two. We was number one for a long fucking time.
We was on and off. We were number one on and off.
Yeah.
We were number one on and off, yeah.
So I'll say between episodes, we'll shoot an episode, we'll be number one. And then we'll shoot the next episode.
Yeah.
Still number one. Yeah. And I feel like that's a really big thing. Honestly, if there's I could agree with you when you're talking about the success part getting to our heads.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And then now we're not on the charts, not really as much.
Well, shockingly, son, breaking new episodes still on the charts.
God damn, I was trying to do that breaking news this week.
The breaking new episode is still on the charts, son. Literally, since we stopped the show, that was the only episode from Premiere Boy that was still on the charts, son. On and off. So yeah, every being honest, on and off, yeah.
That I always feel like that was pretty crazy because I was like, all right, that was even though through all the drama, through all the bullshit, we still was able to maintain that for a good period of time, and still now to this day, and to an extent to this day, and we haven't really. I'm gonna be honest with you, because King Talk is a safe space, and because it's my show, I can talk about it. I'll be honest, we haven't really sat down.
No, we haven't.
Since season 2 to really figure out what the fuck we're gonna do.
We haven't. That's the only. It's always been you and me, and that was it. Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to get into, one thing I wanted to touch on, before we get into King Talk News real quick, is it's a certain issue or I would say a beef with you and another cast member. And one of the biggest things with that is basically, people as friends, people have beef. You know what I'm saying? You're cool with people. Next thing you know, you have beef with somebody. And then you have some issues, but you usually resolve it. One person we're talking about in particular is Roddy, the star Roddy Rod, and there was a bit of contention before the initial first meeting of Premiere Boys podcast, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that real quick to see where you was at with it, and if there's room for reconciliation. You care to jump into that?
It's funny. This is probably the first time I actually spoke about this topic. So, So the whole thing with Roddy, he did something that kind of, I guess you could say, not even kind of, that did lost my trust. He told a personal business of mine that was something that one of the things that I was going through. He told it to other people, and apparently it went back to me. And honestly, I'm not gonna hold you, but I found out that I was really hurt not only because somebody told my business, it's because of a friend who I call my brother told my business, and that was a slap in the face, you know. Because if you're a real friend, you wouldn't tell somebody business, not let alone throw dirt on my name, let alone throw dirt on my brand's name, you know. And you on that brand, so honestly, I felt hurt behind it, you know. And honestly, it just lost my trust for him as a person. And honestly, by saying that, it's just messed up, you know, because he was one of my brothers I knew for 18 years, and yeah, I ain't gonna hold your hurt, son. And yeah, I mean, honestly, if me and him have to work together again, I mean, it's gonna take a long time to rebuild that friendship, son. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's gonna take a long time to build that friendship, and yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what else I can say about it. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a while, man.
All right. One last question before we get into King Talk news. If I wasn't sitting here, right, and say this is Roddy on the other end, and you had one thing to say to this man, right, before the meeting shut down, what would that be?
Why would you do that? You know, why would you do that? You know, basically why? You know,
Why Triple H? Wow.
Basically why? And do you even feel fucked up that you did that? You know, are you really sorry for what you did? What is you telling? My business worth it to losing a long friendship, you know?
Okay, like, I always feel like this. At the end of the day, I'll give my take on it before we get into King Talk news.
Yeah.
I feel like during the course of our friendships, whether it's you and me and Germs, shout out to Germs.
Yeah, shout out to Germs.
Me and Roddy, you and Roddy, you know, you and Alvin, no matter who it was, right?
Yeah.
Like, one of my biggest things, right, is that we're adult enough to have the conversation, whether it be face to face, over the phone, you know, in person. You know, that's one of my biggest key points. Is to have the conversation, you know. We talking about building and building with other people, collabing. In this conversation, we talked a lot about collabing and everything like that. And one of the biggest collaborations we ever did was with each other for this podcast. And I feel that even though the issues that we have may be big or small, at the end of the day, the friendship is what kept us at number one. The friendship is what brought us together for a podcast of this type of magnitude. I wish nothing for success for all of my teammates, all of my friends. But yeah, if there's issues, the best thing you can do, and I'm saying this to my viewers as well, the best thing you can do is take that time and reach out and call. Everybody has a phone in their hand, but nobody wants to reach out and call and talk about the things that's going on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Talk about those issues that really matter, because if it didn't matter, you know, people wouldn't be feeling away. You know what I'm saying? So being the fact that you feel away, this shit matters. And if it matters enough to get fixed, then fucking fix it. You know, because it's really important. It's really important, especially for a friendship that's long as this one. You don't want to let that just die. So yeah, Roddy, if you out there, if you're listening, probably listening, you're avid listening to the show, avid fan of the show, reach out, talk about it. Let's talk about it. If you want to come on here as a guest and talk about it, hey, listen, the door is open. We can talk about it. If y'all want to patch this up live on the air on King Talk, listen, you got the floor for an hour. Y'all could just talk y'all shit. I'll mediate. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like the Brotherhood is way too strong for us to just let it falter. Let a project that we worked tirelessly on falter because of some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, you know, this is kind of a couple steps back for Black podcasters, because, you know, the hardest part of our community is sticking together. You know, and at this point in time, we do gotta stick together. So honestly, yeah, Roddy, if you listening, open invitation. You come on, whatever you like. You want to share your side of the story, you come on and share your side of the story. Ken, if you want to jump on and have that hash out, hey, I can get a floor. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? This is bigger than me. This is bigger than King Talk. You know what I'm saying? This is, hell, I'll even stretch it a little bit further. This is even bigger than Premier Boys. You know what I'm saying? This is more of a family situation than just co-workers just meandering through all of this. So it's a big deal. It's a big step, and honestly, I could end it right here. Like, fucking King Talk News. We'll get to that next week. Bro, I want to thank you for coming on, and honestly, I could drop this right now. Next episode of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast, we're going to continue the conversation on that side. This is the Brotherhood crossover episode.
Yeah, Brotherhood crossover episode, y'all. Yeah, so I'll be interviewing King Talk, and we're going to ask him many questions. We got a lot of things to talk about. King Talk, Premier Boy, his side, everything, man. 20 years of friendship. Yeah, we made 20 years of friendship. Me, him, and Jerns, so...
Holy shit, it has been 20 years. It's 2022.
Yeah, it literally now, yeah, it's definitely 20 years now. It's just been, 20 years. So we're going to talk about that as well. And yeah, man, and it's through a lot. We're going to talk about the Premier Boy brand. Because we haven't talked about this yet here, shockingly enough. We haven't talked about the Premier Boy brand.
Yeah, I haven't brought that up, but we could definitely, that's definitely going to be a topic.
It is going to be a topic, so we'll talk about that and all that. And yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for coming on. It's my show. What are you talking about?
My man, I think I'm Mr. Jim. My man, thank you for bringing me on. Thank you for bringing me on. Thank you for bringing me on. My bad. I think I'm hosting right now. My bad. I thought I was hosting.
Nah, bro. I mean, yeah, you the EP, but you get EP credit. But bro, this is King Talk, baby.
I know. So my bad.
Thank you for coming on and sharing. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it, Roddy. Officer stands if you're willing to come on. I'm here for it.
All I'm gonna say about the ride situation, bro, you know what to do. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't. You know what to do. If you know about what me and Sam do in the past, and me and Jern do in the past when we have beef, you know what to do, Roddy. I don't have to say it. You know what to do. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Man, fuck on. I'm trying to get some content. Roddy, come on the fucking show. Stop playing games.
Stupid. But yeah, yo. First thing first, MrGentleman like that podcast each night Sunday at 12 p.m. We are on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Good Pods, and many more. Rate the show, 5-star rating on Good Pods, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Podchaser. The more y'all rate the show, the more people know about MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Spin-off shows coming soon. New season of A Conversation About Music podcast. The Old School Show, well, to be announced. To be announced. Date Night Talk podcast. New episodes coming soon. Check out the website for MrGentleman like the podcast. www.realmrgentlemanlifestylepodcast.com. www.realmrgentlemanlifestylepodcast.com. Follow me on social media. Ken_MrGentleman. I repeat, Ken KEN _Mr. MR Gentleman GENTLEMAN. Follow me on Good Pods, Ken MrGentleman. Get me back on number 1, because right now I am on number 2 number 3 on top 100 shows. Number 1 on top 100 episode, one of the latest episodes. Shout out to my sister Sha Bliss, get her book. Number 2 on Society and Culture. So let's get back to number 1 again. And yeah, thank you, bro, for bringing me back on King Talk with Aaron Sands. You know, this show about to get number one. You're doing amazing things, you know. Yo, so support my bro show, y'all. Support my bro show, for real, y'all.
Even though we talk a lot of shit on here and everything like that, at the end of the day, we do drop some true gems, like I'm about to drop after the break. And I appreciate you for coming on. Looking forward to coming on the Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast.
Yeah, you ain't know,
on Sunday. You already know. I know you gotta do Sundays, but hey, it's Fridays, baby. And I got one last part to get to, and then we're gonna wrap it up for this episode. So stay tuned for my final thoughts. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, like the podcast and the Premier Boy Podcast. And this commercial is brought to you by the Premier Boy Podcast, where four publicly do where we talk about anything about the culture. You know, hosted by myself, Ken, aka MrGentleman, Mr. Aaron Sands from King Talk with Aaron Sands, the Star Riding Ride, who is also my co-host of the Old School Show, and Long Live the Chief Mally Bell. And we talk many topics, from politics, music, sex, love, relationships, and many more. And also every topic that's going on in the news right now. Many of our topics are very controversial, and the podcast show might not be for everybody because we talk about many explicit content. And so if y'all decided to check out the show, y'all be warned because y'all might need a drink or two. And because this podcast is so crazy, I'm shocked it had not got canceled yet. So if y'all looking forward to listen to the Premier Boy Podcast, check it out on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and many more. Each and every Wednesday at 12 a.m., you can check out the Premier Boy Podcast with myself, Mr. Aaron Sands, Star Riding Rod, and Long Live the Chief Mally Mal. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman. Have a good day and night wherever you're listening to this episode. Now back to the show. Yeah! I just want to take the time to thank everybody for tuning into this bonus episode of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Thank you to my bro, Aaron, King Talk Sands, friend, King Talk with Aaron Sands, for allowing me to talk on this episode. So, out of the 3 interviews we have, this one was one of my favorite. And once again, thank you, bro, for allowing me to speak on your platform. And I just want to give a quick shout out to my bro, Aaron, King Talk Sands Show, King Talk with Aaron Sands, for having the number one spot for entertainment news for 8 days. Bro, continue to grow the show. You are killing it. I'm happy to be an executive producer of the show. And I'm just here to be along for the ride. So once again, congrats, bro. And keep killing it. Even though the show have not returned on the air yet, look out for the new season of the Premier Boy Podcast with myself, Aaron Keto Sands, the Star Rider Rod, and Long Live the Chief Mally Bell. Season 3 is coming real soon. Season 1 and Season 2 is available now on all streaming platforms except for Spotify. And y'all already know where I'm at every Sundays. MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast each and every Sunday at 12 a.m. We're on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Pods, and many more. Y'all can rate the show. 5-star ratings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podchases. The more y'all rate the show, the more people know about MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. And we have the spin-off shows returning soon, y'all. MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast presents the Old School Show. If y'all heard this bonus episode, y'all pretty much know what's going on with me and the co-host for the Old School Show. I don't want to speak more about that. Just know more information about the Old School Show coming real soon. And y'all can look out for it every 4th or 5th Sunday at 12 a.m. Second half of the Old School Show coming soon. MrGentleman Like the Podcast presents a conversation about news podcasts every first Sundays at 12 a.m. New season, January 2023. and every first Sunday at 12 p.m. And MrGentleman Let the Podcast presents Date Night Talk Podcast with myself and Mfana B. New episodes coming soon, and every first and fourth Thursday at 12 p.m. Look out for all of the spin-off series from MrGentleman Like the Podcast, The Old School Show, A Conversation About Music Podcast, and Date Night Talk Podcast. All coming soon. If y'all want to be a guest on my show on MrGentleman Like the Podcast Season 6 or the spin-off series, y'all could email me about yourself and everything that you do to my email. Ken, YPGENT@gmail.com. Ken, YPGENT@gmail.com. And or y'all can hit me up on social media. Ken_MrGentleman. I repeat, Ken, KEN _Mr. MR Gentleman, GENTLEMAN. Add me on Good Pod, Ken MrGentleman. Y'all already know Good Pod catered to many independent podcasters. We could rate each other's shows, see what everybody listens to, and we have the charts. And at this time we will be doing the chart review for Good Pods for MrGentleman Like the Podcast. And during at this time, MrGentleman Like the Podcast is number 4 for top 100 shows. We are number 4 for top 100 shows. We are number 2 for society and culture, and we are number 2 for top 100 episodes. And we were previously number 1 for top 100 episode for episode 104, Finding My Purpose. This is the 3rd episode this season that was on the number 1 spot. So I just want to say thank you everybody that been, showing love to MrGentleman Like the Podcast, and keep listening, man. That really means a lot. And once again, I thank y'all, man. It really means a lot. Let's continue to grow the show, and let's continue to support the podcast community, because, like I said, always want to support the podcast community. It's a lot of amazing podcasters out there, man. So this once again, thank y'all, and really means a lot. Y'all can check out the official MrGentleman Like the Podcast website, www.realmrgentlemanlikethepodcast.com, www.realmrgentlemanlikethepodcast.com. We had guest profile. You can check out all my interviews that I was a part of. Check out all MrGentleman Like the Podcast episodes. Y'all can watch every video. Y'all can buy merch with our partnership with TeePublic and many more. So support the website, www.realmrgentlemanlikethepodcast.com, or y'all can just check it out on the show notes. We got all the information on the show note. So yeah, support MrGentleman Like the Podcast. And when is MrGentleman Like the Podcast return? Because we all taking a short break. And we will return in November 13th at 12 p.m. November 13th at 12 p.m. And we will resume Season 6 of MrGentleman Like the Podcast. And thank you everybody for checking out MrGentleman Like the Podcast. Have a good day or night wherever you're listening to this episode.
This is Laquita from the Queen and Me podcast, and you're listening to MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast.